Yep.
But has anything surprised you about being a father?
I think it surprised me how rewarding it can be. I knew it would be rewarding, but there's just such a special place that your own kin has in your heart because you look at them and you see yourself. It was unbelievable.
So like my ethos of everything I've done in my life is helping people, whether that was as first a martial arts coach, self-defense coach, a fitness coach, a physical therapist, and a fitness coach. And I felt stagnant before I started running for politics.
Yeah.
I felt like I need to be doing more. So John Colasante, so welcome to, your own business, and welcome to the Becoming a Better You podcast. So we just met recently.
Yeah,
right?
Recently,
you want to tell the story of how we met?
How we met. So how I came to know about you was you got involved in the political realm, and some time passed. You were still a figure that I knew, but I'd never met, and as of recently, you've joined the Cranston Republican City Committee that I chair, and it's been a pleasure since then getting to know you and your heart for the community and your vision for the future of Cranston.
Spoken like a true politician.
Thanks. Yeah, that was rehearsed. I did that on my mare.
Yeah, so I remember because we were going to meet about talking about me running, and I didn't know you, but I knew the other two people at the meeting.
Yeah.
And so I met you and I was like, I don't know how old this guy is, right? And I'm trying to size you up to see.
Yeah.
And then I remember I left that meeting and I was like, he's sharp. Like he knows what he's doing.
Thanks.
Right. And when I ran independently, even as a Republican. So like I didn't know how anything ran. Right. But you're like you run now the Cranston Republican Committee, which we'll kind of go into.
Yeah.
Right? But that's how we met. All right. So we're in your deli, which is Michelangelo's Deli. So it's been a fixture in Cranston for years.
Since 86.
Since 86. I remember my father used to take me here. But you started working here at a young age.
Yes. All child labor laws would restrict me from working at the age that I've worked. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you don't get paid in your family, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How old were you when did you grow up in it?
I grew up in it. I was here before I could walk. And then shortly after I could walk, I was probably working. But no, really, I was about 8 years old, shockingly. And the first job that I had working here was ringing the cash register. It was on like a standard size counter. It
wasn't a play school?
I could hardly see. Nope, it was the real deal.
Okay.
Cash money. Yep. U.S. currency. So yeah, I could hardly see the cash register, and I got put to work. People often were in disbelief that they were exchanging money with whatever I would have been, second grader at that point, maybe.
So you grew up in the business. What lessons did you learn as a child that shaped you now?
I would say hard work, dedication. I'm grateful that my parents instilled in myself and my 5 brothers and sisters good morals, faith, and family, just putting family first.
They seem pretty important to you, faith and family?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, absolutely. And now being a father, more than ever, it's almost redefined my outlook
How did it
on
change?
Family and life,
Yeah,
really.
How did it change?
Well, I was talking to someone pretty recently, and he asked me a similar question, and I said, you know what? A couple years ago, I could have a tough day, and I could just give up. I could leave the business. I could go move somewhere else. I could start a new life. And sure, it'd upset some people, but it'd be of less consequence than if I did it now. So, everything that you do once you start a family, you have a child that's dependent on you and your spouse, your significant other, it forces you to hold yourself to a higher standard and to, live in a way that this little person, this human that you so miraculously were given, where I should say you were blessed to, raise something to aspire to. And I think that's something that we should not take for granted.
I'm going to go a little bit into my beliefs with this. Because we became friendly because once I saw her, I was like, he's a good guy.
Thanks.
Right? And if people ask me, I'm like, he's just a good guy. I'm around people all the time.
Yep.
Every social economic background, every race. So I can read people pretty well. I was like, he's just a good guy. That's how you remind me, one of the best compliments I can give, you remind me of Dave Marchetti Jr., the son.
Okay.
Have you ever met him?
I've met him once, yeah.
So he's one of my black belts. He's a great guy. He obviously runs Marchetti's, but he's just a solid dude. And you remind me of that.
Thanks.
You guys would get along really well. Do you think that that children choose their parents?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but if they do, I'm so lucky that mine chose me.
Yeah.
Because she's the best.
So getting back to the business, well, my first job was cleaning office buildings with my father, right? So my father had a rug cleaning, carpet cleaning business, pretty successful. He then went to work for the Cranston Public Schools as a facilities director. And then at night, because my mom's disabled, so she didn't really work after I was born. So he cleaned office buildings. And that was my first job. I did the trash and I vacuumed, right? And so when it's your own business or your family's business, you learn that like you don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
And then I became a full-time physical therapist. I ended up working for my professor at URI. He hired me out of school. So you don't want to let him down because you have this, But I don't know if people who don't have a business don't understand it. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? You're not only responsible for you, you're responsible for your customers, you're responsible for your employees and your family.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you handle that responsibility as now a business owner, a father, a friend? It's 24/7.
Yeah.
How do you handle all that stress and trying to propel the business forward?
Yeah, so I would say I had an advantage, having grown up in a small business, family-owned business. So I saw what my father went through, I saw what my mother went through, and I was able to learn and, be objective about, decisions they made, ways that affected me and my siblings, and the way that I saw the business run, and being a part of it for so long and see potential that perhaps my dad had blind spots to, where I could kind of come in and help integrate those ideas. So I would say being second generation, I had an advantage.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that all those other things don't come into play with family and juggling all that. So I would just say that with every day, I just put my best foot forward. I give it everything I can. I try to respect, myself and then those around me. And with each task that's before me, whether it's for a customer or for a staff member, do the right thing. And you win some, you lose some. But when you have that mentality, I think you always come out ahead.
So you're a little younger than me, I think, maybe like 8 years or so.
Yeah.
Are there days where you wake up and you're like, don't feel like doing it today?
I don't think I ever give myself the opportunity to have that thought. I don't know if it's...
You're young.
Yeah, I don't think, maybe I might think it's not in my nature, or just maybe I still have youth on my side where, I'm not jaded in a way that, we all may somehow become in one way or another. But I would just say that at least at this stage in my life, the best way to handle a tough situation isn't by finding a way around it. It's, by just pressing through.
Yeah, and I think like when you own a business, and the reason I say that, because the business is multifaceted.
Yeah.
It could be nothing to do with the customers. It could be because you're doing marketing and you spent X amount of dollars and that flopped.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Or it could just be that, honestly, sometimes it could be you sign up so many people that you can't handle it because it overloads your system.
Yeah.
Right? So that even happened to my business probably like a year ago. Like we signed up so many people. We actually mostly 5-star reviews, right? Because we really treat the clients well.
Yeah.
But sometimes systems break down. So you need systems in the business. And I was like, wow, like we miss stuff, we're dropping them, but we don't normally do that. So you kind of have to like go through it and be like, okay, this didn't work.
Yeah.
Let me go back and reshape how we're handling these situations.
Yeah.
So there's that positive and that negative.
Yeah. And if I could just interject into
it's your podcast. I'm just here.
Thanks.
I don't have a camera on me. I have this.
To speak to that a little bit, I think it's like a pretty like fundamental principle that like the sweetest things in life are just outside of our comfort zone. If you don't feel a little bit of tension, if you don't feel a little bit of stress, you're probably not pressing into something that...
You're too comfortable.
Yeah, you're not pressing into something that has the reward that you're truly seeking.
Yeah, and so like my ethos of everything I've done in my life is helping people, whether that was as first a martial arts coach, self-defense coach, a fitness coach, a physical therapist, and a fitness coach. And I felt stagnant before I started running for politics.
Yeah.
I felt like I need to be doing more. That's why I started the podcast, actually. I've said it on the podcast. I was like, I need to be doing more. And that's like that ADHD, like entrepreneurial brain, like you just want to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons I got into politics, because I was like, especially when I ran the first time alone, basically, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And you're like, oh man, right? You want to get arrested because you're doing things wrong and no one's there to help you.
Yeah.
But it definitely pushed me out of the comfort zone. But I knew if I didn't win then, it would set me up for the next time, which is exactly how it came out. But it really took me being uncomfortable and being like, this isn't my arena.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Like, obviously I'm going to get schooled by the people who have been doing this for 8, 10, 12 years. Yeah. Right? But you're absolutely right. Like, you have to be out of the comfort zone. You have to do new things, because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
And I think once you stop learning, then like it's over.
Yeah.
You know, there's no spontaneity. So for you then, can you share a time where you faced like a major setback, either in your life or in business, and what you learned from that experience?
Yeah, that's a good
And you don't know any of these questions ahead of time.
No,
I like
none of
doing
these
like
questions, because I definitely
They're very
had
good questions.
Some self-reflection about this. I'll keep this in the vein of politics. So in the last election cycle, I ran for city council in Ward 2 unsuccessfully, and that was tough, because it was several months of work. I was a new candidate. I was new to the political realm. I've always been in tune to a degree of national politics, but local politics was something I never really dove into. So I was new. I didn't know the lay of the land, but I was asked to be involved, and I welcomed that invitation, and I was excited.
Did you think about it for a while?
I thought about it for a few weeks, but I kind of came back to the thought that, this is something I have always had a passion for. Service has always been a part of my life, in every stage of my life. And I just felt that this was the newest manifestation of that, that I hate to say the word calling, but just, I think we're all called to, serve others, whether it's your family, your community, your workplace. I think, there's great things that any person can do in whatever arena they're involved in. So that was just one that presented itself to me, and I put a lot of work into it. I was optimistic. I knew I wasn't in the best position where I was running to have victory, but I did feel confident despite that, and obviously taking a loss was difficult. I was faced with the question of whether I would continue to pursue a future in politics, and I thought about it, and doors kept opening, and shortly thereafter, a matter of a handful of months after the election, I found myself in a position to be chairman. So I think in life, to go back to those moments of tension, the moments of stress, I think success and what you truly desire is often, just a few steps beyond where you want to give up. Because what value does it have if it comes easily to you? So not to say I've arrived, I've accomplished everything I've set out to do, but this is just another small victory and way for me to serve the community and those around me. And I've just welcomed it with open arms and putting my best foot forward.
And you're doing a great job from my perspective, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm the outsider in the party because, again, even though I was registered Republican, I ran independent because there was already a candidate.
Yeah.
So the only way for me to get in the ballot was to run independent, which I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
And like contrast breeds desire. So like you have to go through things in your life where like they didn't work out because that breeds the new desire to go forward.
Yeah.
Right? And I often think to myself, you ever see like those rich kids that get everything?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, I won't say a lot, but sometimes they don't have the social skills. They don't know what hard work is.
Yeah.
A lot of times they have so much money and so much time, it leads to things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And you don't get the skill set that you need to actually succeed on your own.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've never failed.
Yeah.
And if you do fail, there's money there to pick you up and go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I really believe that going, especially at a young age, going through that contrast, being like, okay, this is who I want to be, this is how I want to be there, gives you an advantage over somebody, say, who didn't have to go through that, who had the perfect childhood, who didn't have, who had all the money. Yeah. Right? Because you need to learn those skill sets to go through life and interact with other people. Yeah. And that reminds me of, it's like they have like people digging, right? And they stop digging right before the pot of gold. You ever see that? Like they're going through the cave? Yeah. So coming into this arena, there are some Cranston juggernauts in politics who have been here for a while.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Who are in the Republican Party. Yeah. You're coming in fairly new, heading it up. Yeah. Was there some trepidation there? Or, I mean, because some of these people have been in politics double your age in years, right?
Well, I would say no, not at all. Which people might watch this and they're saying, wow, he's absolutely lying. There's big egos at play.
Because the mayor's even in the, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And no, not at all. What's really impressed me about, the Republican organization in Cranston is it's a host of who I truly believe are good people, working to serve the best interest of the city. And naturally, there's people on the other side of that opinion, and they have the right to have that opinion. But from where I'm standing, I'm proud to serve alongside them.
Yeah, and I think for both sides, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I also understand that, okay, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't have to like you as a person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the person I'm running against, I like him.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
We might agree with stuff, we might disagree, but at the end of the day, we're still people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's cool that you have your own ideals of what should be and shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be more of that in politics versus just attacking the other side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now you have to call things out if you feel things aren't right. And that's your job to do it too.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that, right? So,
well, I think, in any situation, the best thing you can do is separate people from problems, but there is a time and a place to hold those accountable that might be creating a problem.
Sure.
So I think at the end of the day, it's important to separate people from problems, but we shouldn't be, afraid to bring attention to, issues that need to be brought to light.
As far as Cranston goes,
Yeah.
when you were running or now, do you feel, and in your opinion, that there's something that really needs to be fixed? Is there something broken? Or you're like, hey, I feel Cranston's running well. I'd like to see a couple this thing's fixed. What do you think?
From my perspective, I think Mayor Hopkins is doing a great job. Cranston's in a great place economically. The schools are doing well. It's a safe place to live. I live in the Auburn area of Cranston.
Which is Ward 2.
Exactly, yep, Ward 2.
Just in case you want to run.
And I'm pleased with the neighborhoods. They're clean. And, I think there's pride of ownership predominantly through Cranston, which goes a long way because there's only so much the city can do. People aren't cutting their grass, they're not taking care of their homes, they're not taking care of their garbage. That causes problems that then, can spiral out of control. But I think generally speaking, there's pride of ownership in Cranston. The mayor's administration is doing good work. There's clearly no issue bringing business to Cranston. There's ribbon cuttings constantly.
Sure.
I don't need to leave Cranston much to do the things I need to do and would like to do. I like to find myself in the Caribbean every once in a while, but otherwise, Cranston has a lot to offer, and I'm proud to live here. I'm proud to, represent an ideology that I believe is responsible for its success.
So the joke that my friends have with me is that I only travel in a 4-mile radius.
Yeah.
Right? That's because everything I do is in Cranston. Some people, before I ran for this, some people are like, oh, you need to run for the state senate and stuff like that, or whatever it was, the House of Representatives. And I was like, that doesn't appeal to me. If I'm going to run for what I'm in and what I'm doing, which is Cranston.
Yep.
Right? That just had no appeal. So when you talk about desire, that everything I do is in Cranston.
Yeah.
And for me personally, don't get me wrong, you're in business to make money.
Yeah.
If you don't make money, you can't put the lights on.
Yep.
You can't employ people. But it's really about seeing that person smile.
Yeah.
Or someone coming to you and be like, wow, that was the most delicious dish I've had.
Yeah.
Or in our case, someone being like, wow, I'm down 10 pounds in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
It's rewarding.
It's 100%. That's, and as a physical therapist, I've worked with a lot of elderly patients. I actually still keep a priest that I have. He's the only patient I keep now because I run my studio.
Yep.
And even I was there today, and he's groggy, he's a little bit older. You do some exercises, a little massage. He's like, wow, I feel like a new person.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can do that there, then you can expand it to the older lady who didn't get her trash picked up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I think, and I don't know your family situation, but from what I've noticed, when you have a parent who's sick, especially a mother, children tend to go into the healing fields. Nurses, doctors, physical therapists, right? Because you're so used to it.
Yep.
And one of the best skills I was given is I can read people really well. Because as a child, I'd always have to read my mom to see how she felt.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So, and she's the sweetest lady ever. She's
Yeah.
about 4'11", maybe 4'10" now. But as a child, I'd have to be, okay, it's how's she feeling? What is she doing, right?
Yeah.
And so you learn to look at people and then...
Develop that discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great word. But that's what you bring to the table, and that's what you do when people come into your business.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, listen, there's some people that come into my studio, I'm like, this isn't a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for me. And it's about being transparent, honest, that, I don't know if you kick people out of here, but
no.
And we don't kick them out, but it's just like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no need for me to take your money.
And that's the that's the most honest thing you can do, because another business owner might say, I could get a few months out of this person before they get burnt out and, make a little bit of money. But, if you truly care about people, then, like you said, you steer them in a better direction. Maybe you give them advice, maybe try this routine, try this, try this company.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I'm in Cranston. So when I'm talking to people, I'm going to be honest with you, like, I don't want you running me over in your car when I walk my dog in Garden City.
Yeah.
Right? Because we serve the community. You're going to see me out.
Yep.
And it's almost never weird when I see clients or former clients, because like, oh, Mark, he's honest, he'll treat me right, kind of thing. What do you think is the worst part of politics?
The worst part of politics, I think, is when people suffer for the sake of politics.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that for people who might not know what you're talking about?
Yeah. There's two places to stand on almost every issue. And I believe that the best interest of people is always closer to one side than the other. And I think in a flawless political process, the people always win, but they don't. And I would say each party has taken stances on most issues. And unfortunately, people in the community isn't always best served. I know I'm being a little
yeah, I don't need this specific.
Vague and broad, but I think without speaking about something particular that we can that we can really dive into, I would just say.
So we take it like on a federal level.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, if we're talking right now, Biden's president,
Yep.
But either way you can do it. The Republicans don't want to make Biden look good for re-election.
Yeah.
And the Democrats not going to want to make Trump look good for re-election.
Yeah.
Right? So they're going to vote in a way where you can't get the credit.
Yeah, exactly.
And the people who suffer, well, they could, the citizens could have used this, but they won't get it because...
Yeah, well, I mean, to speak to a Cranston issue, as you know, there was $7.2 million on the table to build a community center in Cranston, and it got shut down by the city council. And I truly believe,
which is Democrat.
Yep, exactly. For the sake of political posturing, the citizens of Cranston lost out on an opportunity to get services that could improve their lives and after-school programs for children. So I think that would have been a win-win situation. Sure, there's a amount of maintenance costs, but it was pretty negligible.
And you mean 7.2 free from the state?
Yeah.
To come in and do this?
Yeah.
And it got voted down?
It got voted down.
Because our mayor is Republican?
Yeah. That's, if you could, yeah. That's
we infer.
Yeah.
Right?
That's an inference.
Yeah.
But yes.
We're not making direct accusations, just an inference. Yeah, I would say that's true, right? And I think that I told people and I bet you're pretty similar. I was like, I would rather lose the election being myself than win it by saying stuff that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Right? I'm totally fine losing it.
Because then you're living a scripted life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm way too transparent.
Yeah.
And when I meet people, I always have that thing, and this is what my mom instilled in me. Like, I want to make them feel better for being around me.
Yeah.
And so when I leave, they're like, wow, he's a great guy. Like, but they feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that's my MO. Like that, I never want anyone to feel bad.
Yeah.
And especially as a physical therapist, a lot of physical pain is due to emotional mindset and emotional pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we can manifest sickness, we can manifest health.
Yeah.
And it's really those thoughts that go through. But as humans, in this human experience, a lot of times there's a tendency to have those negative thoughts.
Yeah, well, I mean, perspective, I think, is so important in our lives. And I think if we aren't orienting ourselves towards positive things, healthy things, things that are good for us, that promote growth for us, then we set ourselves up for failure. And I think the best thing that we can do is to hold ourselves accountable, take responsibility, and always make the right decision.
So you've actually mentioned accountability 2 or 3 times this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm in the accountability business as a gym, right? Because I have to keep you accountable. That's what we do. That's why we're so good. I think this is the biggest problem in society today that I see, is that people who are not where they want to be don't take accountability for themselves. Yeah. And I'll give you a perfect example. Number one, I'm the owner of my business. Whether my business does well or whether my employee messes up, I have to take responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah.
I might not have even been there that day.
Yeah.
but I had to take responsibility.
Yeah.
There was a restaurant that closed in Warwick that said the reason they are closing is because of the bridge in East Providence put them out of business.
Yeah.
Preposterous.
Yeah.
Right? If I was that owner, I would be like, maybe my food wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like the bridge in East Providence did not stop people from going to your restaurant.
Yeah.
You need to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Right? And if anybody wanted to ever change their life, the first thing I think they need to do is take accountability.
Yeah.
I'm not the weight I want to be. Yeah. Right? I'm not doing the job I want to do. When I was doing physical therapy full time, I was going to the studio after that. So I was working like 7:30 to 8 at night. You know, I was fried.
Yeah.
I was probably about 36, 37.
Yeah, burnout's real.
Yeah. And the thing, if people in the medical field know this, like, we're just humans too.
Yeah.
You can only hear somebody complain for so long before you're like, come on, right? You only have a barometer. So the burnout of medical practitioners is real. Even though you're trying to help them and it wasn't the same person complaining at 3 o'clock that it was at 8 o'clock, it kind of takes a little bit away from you. And I knew, I was like, I have to make a career switch.
Yeah.
Right? Now I go from a nice job with benefits to no paycheck, and I have to turn this thing up. But it got to the decision point where I was like, this is what I need to do, because if I keep doing this, I was like, I don't know where I'm going to end up, you know, but it was like making the decision, following through with the decision, and also being like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. So like I have to go read and take courses and be accountable. So I think everybody can change the situation just by taking accountability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You're 32?
32.
He doesn't too much whiskey, he doesn't even know. So I consider you like an old soul. I feel like you act way more professional than someone who's 32. Do you see that, or like how does that?
You know, I mean, I guess I appreciate hearing that.
You hear it a lot?
I hear it, you know, every now and again. So, you know, I am myself. And sure, there's people less mature, more mature. I'm where I'm at, and this is.
You're on a good path. Yeah, you're definitely. Like I said, I'm around a lot of people, and you're definitely like beyond where I think you should be. You know, as far as like that age. Yeah. So that's why I was like, this guy's good. Like he again, and I'm saying this being a bit older. Not many people could come into what you're doing, head up a Republican Party where the mayor's in it. Yeah. Where you have some people who've been in politics since I was a child still in it. Yeah. And like command the attention and like, oh, he's the guy. Right. So that says a lot about you. So for you, how do you keep yourself motivated?
You know,
you listen to my podcast a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. Every day. And when you don't release a new episode, it's just, you know, watch the last one again. No, but I would say that it's important to people around you that are of the same mind. They're also motivated. You know, some of my closest friends, you know, happen to be small business owners themselves. So, you know, we think a lot in the same way, and, you know, we're always kind of brainstorming on, you know, what we're doing, and, you know, kind of sharpening each other. And then there's always that, you know, sense of friendly competition where, you know, this person, you know, made this move in their business, and that kind of like encourages you to say, like, you know what, I could do something like that too. I can do better.
Do you feel that once you became a business owner or took this over, that it was hard to talk to people who didn't own a business?
No, you know, we all have different perspective, you know, whether it's in our professional, personal, familial lives. You know, we all see things a little differently. You know, it's easier to relate to some people, but I've always tried my best, you know, wherever I'm at in my life to, you know, relate to people, because, you know, as much as we're, you know, different, I think we're all mostly the same.
So you said that, like, you know, when the new generation comes up, like you took this over for your dad, you had new ideas to implement, right?
Yeah.
What were one or two things that you implemented right away that made a difference?
You know, integration of more technology, online ordering, third-party delivery, those sorts of things that, you know, people have been doing and they work. So why not? Why the heck not?
Any thoughts on AI coming in? Because as a business owner, my opinion, we have to embrace it. Because if you don't embrace it, you're going to get left in the dust.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get buried. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what does that look like for my business? You know, maybe better ordering systems, stocking. You know, it's
like a robot
something I haven't. Yeah, I haven't quite given too much thought. I mean, you saw long ago, as 10 years ago, McDonald's tried to introduce the self-ordering systems, the large touch screens, and I think they were a little ahead of the curve there. People, you know, didn't receive that so well. But you see it in the store with self-checkouts, and, you know, which can be of convenience, but if you are shopping for a family of 5 or 6, you don't want to self-checkout, 40 pounds of different produce and those sorts of things.
You'd be there forever.
I think it has its advantages and disadvantages, and I think society adapts. And so the best thing that we can do is adapt and try to find, how our niche is best served by that technology.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to see for other businesses, like, I think you should do this. But when you're in the weeds, I don't, people give me ideas all the time. I'm like, I don't know how to implement that, But that's one of the cool things about business is you have to learn all of these skill sets, marketing, sales, planning, budgeting, all of these things you have to learn or your business can't survive.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Which is why I always think that businessmen who are transparent and honest. Yeah. Right? And again, there's non-transparent and honest people in every genre. Yeah. But a businessman who's honest and transparent, who really wants something for the people, is one of the best candidates to have in the political arena because they've acquired all those skills. Yeah. Right? You keep skill stacking. Yep. I follow Alex Hormozy, who used to run Gym Launch, and he talks about skill stacking. So basically, that would be like, well, you first learn how to add. Yeah. Right? And then you learn multiplication. Yeah. And then you learn how to balance a checkbook. Yeah. Right? And then you learn how to be an accountant. Yeah. And then now you're the head accountant. Yeah. And then you own the business. So it's the skills that you just keep leveling up. In business, you always have to keep leveling up because, and especially in your industry, you're competing with restaurants, fast food, chains, right? Other delis in the area who can pop up. And if you're not on your game, right? So it's interesting because I'm sure you have your regulars. Yeah. But you never know how many people are going to come in for lunch and all that stuff, right? No, you can't. You have no idea. You can project based on trends year after year, but then you have situations like COVID how do you see that coming? And then what does the restoration process look like after the fact? And where are the new trends now? And, how has the world changed? And how do you go about going from there? How did you navigate COVID? What did you have to do? What did I have to do? Followed protocol, stayed open for business at whatever capacity we were allowed to, run a staff that was serviceable to our customers, but also was conscious of, things being tight. I couldn't run a staff that I was running in 2018 in 2020. It just wasn't, it's not feasible. No, you couldn't find them either. So. And you didn't have your daughter then? No, she's 13 months. Okay, but you were with your significant other then? Shortly, in the midst of COVID, yes. Okay. Yeah. And so, I'm assuming she's supportive. I'm assuming if she, right? Yeah. How important was to have a spouse, or not a spouse, a significant other, because you were dating, as a business owner, help you through that, right? Because when you go home at the end of the day, I don't know how you are, but my brain doesn't shut off. Yeah. Right. So sometimes you need that person that you're gonna be like, okay, this is what happened, this is what I'm thinking, bounce ideas off of. The most important decision a man can make, or anybody can make, is the person they're going to spend time with and marry. Yeah, absolutely. 100% across the board, right? So the only thing worse than a business that's stressful is going home and it being stressful. Yeah, absolutely. How did she help you through COVID? Well, she told me to ask this question. So did she? Okay, all right. So let me make sure I answer it well. So I would say, there were a few factors. She's a nurse practitioner. So she didn't work remotely. You got to show up to the hospital at work. Sure. So it helped that she had to work as well through COVID because, if she worked remotely and I had to leave every day, we'd definitely be in a different state of mind. We were out there, we were working in the midst of COVID. And so it was that helped us in a way. She wasn't in isolation because that definitely psychologically did a number on people, as you know, better than I, mental health, was severely affected. I don't think it's recovered since. Oh, absolutely not. No, because we found ourselves in a better place as a society, but people naturally sweep things under the rug. And I think it's highly probable there's a lot of trauma people experienced in that time or before then that, it got significantly worse during that time and haven't dealt with it. Yeah. And so I teach adults, but I also teach kids. Yep. I've been teaching kids since I've been 16 really, and adults. But you saw the difference. Yep. So when kids could come back into a martial arts studio, 100% different. Yeah. So a lot of times we would do the grappling with them, but they were afraid to touch us. Yeah. Right? And grapple because they've been distanced. Yeah, it's unbelievable. For so long. And like for jujitsu, grappling's part of what we do.
Yeah.
So we had to change the whole way we taught the classes because the kids just weren't comfortable, like touching hands, wrestling, so to speak, with the instructors. So we had to do that. But like what I see now is some of those kids are definitely not accustomed to the social interaction cues that they normally would see.
Yeah.
Right. And I see that with the generation, people in their 19s or 20s, also because of technology.
Yeah.
And I employ people who are younger than me too.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that it was a different generation.
Yeah.
So like, I remember, I'm a little older than you, when my girlfriend liked me in 6th grade, I had to call on the phone, talk to her dad to ask for her.
Yeah.
At 12, that's daunting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're a little older than me, but
You know what I'm saying? I had to talk to the dad first to get to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays, it's a text message.
Yeah, and you never know. You don't know who's going to pick up that phone.
You have no idea.
No idea.
Right? So certain things we went through as a rite of passage. I often think that we grew up in one of the best times because you saw before the internet and after. Yeah. So you have feet in both. But people like, my dad, he has a flip phone. He won't get like a smartphone. Yeah. He has to push number 1 to hit like a C 3 times or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what he knows.
Yeah.
Whereas some people only know the iPhone.
Yeah.
And they don't, everything's there. So it'd be interesting to see how in the future business adapts and people adapt.
Yeah.
But COVID definitely changed a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk to me about fitness. I know you're a runner.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to brag a little bit. You sent me a picture of you on the treadmill.
Yeah, I probably did.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, I don't use the treadmill because I would just die instantly.
Okay.
I just built for show.
So fitness has always been a part of my life. It's hard to say why, but I do know that it's fantastic for my mental health, my long-term health. I feel good when I'm exercising.
Do you exercise in the morning before you come in?
I do. So I used to always be an evening gym goer, but since my daughter, those are the most valuable hours of my day. So I just found that whatever I have to do, I try to fit as much as I can in the beginning of my day, so that way I can leave it wide open to spend time with my family. So, at or around 6 a.m., that's when I'm at the gym every day.
Where do you go?
Pro Fitness.
Okay, and work?
That's a plug.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to charge them for that.
Yeah.
I used to go when it was gold.
Yep, exactly.
So we talked about you being a new father.
Yep.
But has anything surprised you about being a father?
Has anything surprised me? I'm one of 6 brothers and sisters, and I have 7 nieces, and my oldest niece is 20 years old. She'll be 21 this year, which is, unbelievable. I can't really wrap my head around that. She's 21 years old, so I was, 11, 12 years old when she was born. So I, at a pretty early age, was exposed to, what young children and young family dynamics was like. And I've always been like a sponge. I'm not always the biggest personality in the room. I'm not the, big social butterfly. I tend to absorb more. So
I think you're calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, I try to be. It's just, I guess it's just my nature. But so I soaked that up. I tried to learn, but the question is, has anything surprised me, correct? Yeah, I think it surprised me how rewarding it can be. I knew it would be rewarding, but my nieces, I love every single one of them. But, there's just such a special place that your own kin,
Sure.
has in your heart, because you look at them and you see yourself. Like, it was unbelievable. Just yesterday, my fiance, she works a few night shifts here or there. So I try to take my daughter, she's only 1 year old, but I'll take her out to dinner, just her and I. We went to Iggy's yesterday, and it's just seeing her personality bloom.
Sure.
Is just unbelievable. And
you definitely
so
got her a
rewarding.
Doughboy, right?
Yes, she nibbled on a Doughboy.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't go to Iggy's without getting a Doughboy.
No, yeah, we got a milkshake and a Doughboy. We split. I definitely ate way more.
Did she pay or like?
Sometimes I let her pay with my card, but it's just incredibly rewarding. It surprised me how much I see myself and my fiance in her. And I think, the greatest thing that parents can do is to protect and preserve that, the best part of yourself that's in your child, and, just raise them well.
So, like, for me, it's interesting for me because I've been around kids since I've been 16. Obviously, I have no kids of my own that I know about. But in my head, I'm like, okay, I would definitely instill these things into my child, either male or female, doesn't matter. Is there anything that you're like, okay, like when she gets this age, I'm going to teach her this, or like when she's 8, I'm putting her at the cash register?
No, not at all. And it's funny, people say that, and I haven't even given 2 thoughts to it. I just hope that as a father and as a parent, I'm the best listener that my kid ever has. I think parents can get caught up in projecting what they want or what they think their child needs. Sure. Or desires, but I just want to make sure I'm a great listener and I, nurture, whatever it is, in them that, they want to pursue in life.
So that's one of the things where, because I'm a big believer of like, it's your life. Do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Try not to hurt people. That's the best
thing you can do.
Right?
Yeah.
And whatever you want your career to be, go do it.
Yeah.
Right? Is there any hope that she becomes an entrepreneur or a nurse practitioner or?
Not at all. No, I just hope that she does what she wants to do and she does it well. Yeah. And is a good person. That's it. I'm not planning out anything for her. Yeah. I know she has plans, but she just hasn't figured them all out yet.
I got that. So for you, I got a couple more questions. Your vision, you're young, so you're the leader of the Republican Party committee in Cranston. Your vision for that party? Yep. What is it?
What is it? That's a great question.
I'm a good podcast host.
Yeah, no, fantastic. A+. I would say to best serve the needs of the citizens of Cranston. At the end of the day, I'm not a Republican because, I read some textbooks about, the history of Republican leadership in the United States of America and Cranston, and I'm just absorbed in this, this agenda, or have been propagated into something. But I truly believe that the ideals of the Republican Party, about community, about family, about respecting, business owners, small business, low taxes, support our police, our military, it all resonates with me, and I truly believe it's the, best position to stand in to serve people.
Yeah, it was surprising for me because, again, I was registered Republican, but I ran independent. So coming into the Republican Party, I wanted to make sure that we all had the same agenda as far as like what we wanted, which is what's best for Cranston, right? Which is what I ran on last time. Yeah. But me coming in and then meeting everybody like in it, the first meeting, the second meeting, the third meeting, I was like, all right, like everybody seems to be on the same page here. Yeah. Which pleasantly surprised me, right? Because, like even you always hear about like the old Republican, I'm going to use gang as like a fast term, but like that's what it was back in the day, right? And so I come in there and I'm like, well, everyone's really nice. Yeah. Like everyone legit was like, this is why I want this and for these reasons. And I didn't hear anything about political agenda. Yeah. Right? And I'd be the first, I think when we met, I was like, listen, just so you guys know, if I'm on the council, like I'm going to vote the way I believe benefits the people, right? Yeah. I understand you, just so you know that. And everyone's like, okay. And I was like, okay, because I'm not a person that you can just tell me what to do. Yeah. If I think something is wrong, I'm not doing it. Yeah. If I think something, won't be
having this conversation.
Right. Yeah. If I think something is right, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Because that's the right thing. That's how I was raised. Like that's that black belt mentality I have. Yeah. It's like you persevere through things, but you do what's right in the end. Yeah. Or all the time. But I've been pleasantly surprised. Everyone I've talked to, like literally no one has come off to me as not genuine, right? No one's come to me as like they have an agenda. Yeah. Even when I met with the mayor and we talked about it, like I said, listen, like because I don't know what I'm walking into, right? Like I'm not going to be a pawn. Yeah. And I was like, okay, right, yeah, we're good. Like everyone's like,
yeah. And I would say, the major points, of the Republican Party, especially in Cranston, have always been low taxes, good schools, and a safe community. And at the end of the day, I think that's what everyone's looking for. People work hard for the money. So I think it's important that people keep as much of their money as possible, because there are far better things, for people to spend their money on than to give it all to politicians to find things to spend it on. That as a taxpayer, a small business owner, you pay taxes in a few different capacities. So, you definitely understand that to a greater degree than some others. And people want to make sure that, their kids get a good education and that they can, sleep peacefully at night, knowing that their kids are going to be safe, they're going to be safe.
Yeah, so I do like my financials every week. Pretty much my biggest expense is taxes. Yeah. Across the board. Yep. Because you get regular taxes, federal. State employee tax, right? Like I'm providing jobs and I'm getting, every month, I'm like, why am I paying this much taxes? Yeah. Right? Because I choose to do it the right way.
The right way. Yeah.
Right? Like you get penalized for it. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I think politicians, I don't even really like that word, but like you're there to serve the people.
Yeah.
We're good.
Public servant.
Yeah, like you really are there to, you know, serve the people. And I think if you just bring that with you, then like everything else falls in line. You know, it's when I don't do well with like hidden agendas. Like I said, I'm really transparent.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it becomes like, if you're running for yourself and your intentions are for yourself, that's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
If you're running to help other people, you're going to make decisions based on, okay, how can I help John?
Yeah.
Right? How can I help this person?
Yeah.
And if you go by those ideals, then I think you make the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, versus like, well, how can I help these two people who've donated to my campaign?
Exactly.
Like, it's not about that, you know? All right, 2 questions. Can you share a powerful piece of, I think this is ChatGPT who gave me this one.
Okay.
Using AI. Can you share a powerful piece of advice or a quote that has significantly influenced your journey, either as a father, a businessman, or as a human being?
Okay. You know, there's so many things, but this saying popped into my head, love God and serve others. So, you know, the first thing might mean a few different things to some people. You know, maybe you're not religious, but hold yourself to a standard larger than yourself. You know, so live life well, be accountable, and then also serve others. You know, don't be selfish. Do things from a position that you best serve yourself when you're serving those
100%.
around you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And that's that whole thing. Like for me, I feel the best when other people like feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and like I did that. Like I helped that person, especially as a physical therapist. I mean, there's people that I were supposed to get surgery that like, okay, my training, I was like able to fix them so they didn't have surgery.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that goes throughout the whole life.
Yeah.
They didn't need surgery. Like your significant other is a nurse practitioner. Anytime you have surgery, it's never good. The body does not want to be cut open.
No.
Right?
No,
at least a trauma initially.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully after you feel good, but there's always that risk.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, physical therapy is one of the most underutilized modalities for healing.
And you probably notice, you know, it's the first thing that people cut out of their, you know, post-recovery. You know, they'll see you once and like, okay, I learned everything. They'll do those exercises once, maybe twice, and then, you know, you never see them again. And then 20 years down the line, whatever that procedure was fails. You know, that hip fails or the knee replacement fails.
It's that. It's also insurance, because insurance would rather not pay PTs, which to me doesn't make sense, because like you're going to give me 6 visits to fix your broken hip. Let's just speak freely. Okay, that didn't work, but let's get surgery, which is $20,000, but then give you PT after that.
Yeah.
Well, if I could have just fixed it in the beginning,
exactly.
we would. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's just kind of backwards. But I had the perspective of working in a nursing home when I was going through PT school. So you see people at the end of life.
Yeah.
You see what the difference is of somebody who kept themselves in shape and didn't keep themselves in shape. There's many older people who don't want to leave the house because they don't want to be seen with a cane.
Yeah.
Or they would rather risk falling than be seen with a walker.
Yeah, or they, you know, just have become intimidated by a threshold on a door.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, and throw rugs.
Yeah.
Right? And I saw that happen with my grandma. Like, once she started slowing down, she didn't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
And that starts the beginning of the end. And it's really those people I like helping the most.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, you know, we're all going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
One day. All right, 2 more questions. Is there anything you wanted to ask me?
Oh, geez. Okay, that's a good question. Maybe we can add out this dramatic pause here. I would say, where does Marc Bochner see himself in 20 years?
20 years?
Yeah.
Wow. That'd make me 60.
That would make you 60, yeah.
That's an interesting question. Professional, personal?
Give me it all.
Yeah. So, in some capacity of helping others, I don't think I would ever stop having my business.
Yeah.
Right? If I get deeper into the political thing, say I win, and I decide to go higher, that could be an option for me. I don't see myself leaving Cranston, right? In 20 years, I should have a higher platform than I have now, in whatever regard that is. And from that platform, I would like to help even more people.
Yeah.
Right? I think that, like we talked about before, being able to interact with a lot of people, but having the skill set of being a physical therapist, a business owner, being a martial artist, it's okay, the skills that I learned, training the next generation of coming up, whatever that means. Yeah. You know, either in business or in politics or whatever, really being like, okay, like use your connections, use what you learned to help other people. And I do see myself with a kid or two. I
highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been something where, for me, in my personal life, I always wanted to make sure my parents were okay.
Yeah.
I'm an only child. I'm not one of 6.
You'll be a great dad too, I can tell.
So when you're an only child, like and again, I'm a physical therapist.
Yeah.
I'm the one responsible for them.
Yeah.
Right? There's no other brothers or sisters to help out.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to make sure they were set first.
Yeah.
Totally glad I did that. But I see, in 20 years, here's the thing too. As you get older, perspective changes.
Yeah.
One thing I know that won't change is like me wanting to help people. Yeah. I just don't know what capacity that would be, which the desire, the contrast will breed the desire. You'll get pushed. You'll have a calling.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I never thought I'd run for city council.
Yeah.
Right? Up until 2 years ago, I didn't know what a ward was. Mm-hmm. And most people don't.
No.
They're just like, I'll vote for you. I'm like, great. I totally appreciate that. Don't think you can because like you live over there.
Yeah. At that point, it's like, when people say sending positive vibes and good thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks.
Yeah. I think in some capacity helping others, because that's what I do. Like that's what I make a living off of.
Yeah.
And spiritual living off that as well. But yeah, I don't know. I can see it could go multiple ways.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes is like, follow your excitement. Because your excitement is a complete toolkit that takes you on the path you want to go.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're excited about doing something, that's like your spirit telling you do that.
Yeah.
And that's like the guidance from above.
Yeah.
Which some people call God, source, whatever. Okay. My last question, which I always ask people on the podcast.
Yeah.
Somebody's watching this and their life isn't where they want it to be. Mm-hmm. It's just not going well. They're kind of down a little bit. What advice would you give them to start getting their life back on track, to become a better person, become a better them?
Yeah. Well, I would say pick a small thing that you can do to improve your situation and then pick another small thing, because I think we need encouragement, and nothing's more encouraging than, winning, because I think people, we're wired that way. We're overcomers, despite this, despite that, you made it through, you persevered. So I think it's just taking that first step, and whatever small thing that might be, you tackle that, you handle it, you get on the other side. It gets a little easier, you get a little stronger. It's like when I run. When my daughter was born, I stopped going to the gym so much because it was busy. There's a lot going on when you have a 2-year-old baby. I slacked off a little bit, you could say, for good reason. And then I found myself, and my family found itself in a better position, and I found the time again in my routine to start running again, start going to the gym. And let's just say when I hopped on that treadmill and I hopped on the road to go out for that first run, I wasn't running 6.5 minute miles.
I was humbling.
Yeah, not to brag, but and I went out and it was maybe a 7.5 minute mile, and I shave off a couple more seconds and a couple more seconds.
That goal setting,
and you find your stride, and so it's like you just take the little wins, and they grow from there.
Yeah,
and you might find yourself a year from now saying, "Wow, look at what I did."
Well, yeah, that's great advice, because it's those small wins, those small things that add up over time.
Yeah,
we actually say that a lot of times with. It's those micro changes that you make over time.
Macro impact.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. So take us home. So where's your business? What do you do?
Yeah.
Tell the camera so if they see this, they can come and say hello to you.
So where is my business? Okay, my business is in Cranston, 995 Pontiac Avenue. It's been here since 1986, second generation.
Michelangelo's.
Michelangelo's.
So what you have... So I know you got local honey. I see that advertised on you.
Yeah. So we have local honey, pretty local. It's out of Warwick. So your allergies, they're this time of year, especially a lot of pollen and all that. Yeah. It helps, but it's a deli, so we do catering, sandwiches, salads, some prepared foods. Yeah.
What is your biggest seller?
What is our biggest seller? These days, I think it's almost like the Italian grinder has just gotten really popular.
Has it?
Like there's all these Facebook groups popping up.
Really?
People are like, they're reinvigorated with the deli and the sandwich and whatnot. So it's kind of neat to see that, like DoorDash orders coming in, like Italian grinder. So it's neat to see that.
And you make it all fresh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But John, this was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing this. And then, if people want to come in, what are your hours? Like, what time you open?
So we're open Monday through Saturday. Monday through Wednesday, it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, Friday, it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if that's not complicated enough, Saturday it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we're closed on Sundays.
So if you come around 11 at any day except Sunday, we're good to go?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, cheers to this.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks so much.
Nice. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Good.
That's great.